you so much for joining me today for today's stress and anxiety relieving yoga class. I hope this class serves you. I know these days have been pretty high stress and a lot of tension and anxiety, and I'm going to take you through a yoga class today that is all levels and shouldn't be too strenuous or straining, yet will bring you to some poses that will help you to open up through areas where we tend to hold a lot of our stress and tension and anxiety. So we're going to get started. And the very first pose that I would like to get us into right away is fish pose. So if you are familiar with fish pose, you can go ahead and get into the pose. However, today I would really stress having us use supported fish pose. So I'll show you fish pose to begin with. If you're going to do supported fish pose, you will need to grab a blanket. If you have a block, you can certainly use a block. If you have a pillow that's more like a bolster, that may work for you as well. But just something to place beneath our back. So for regular fish pose, however, I'll get you started. So what you're going to want to do is lay long on the mat, roll our shoulders back, down our back, away from the ears. We're going to take our hands and we're going to plant them on the mat and slide them beneath our seat, rolling our shoulders back and down and kind of bringing them together, really opening up through the chest. Palms down, legs out long, and then you're going to want to bring your top of your head to the mat to really open up through the throat as well. So this is fish pose, and if that's your choice, go ahead and get in that pose. We're going to do some breathing exercises in our first pose, so we'll be in there for a few minutes. If you're doing supported fish pose, this is when we'll take like a nice firm blanket. We're going to place that on the mat, and the goal is to have it between the shoulder blades, but I don't want it to go over my shoulders here because I want my head to be able to naturally drop all the way back, as you will see. So you're going to place your blanket or your bolster here between the shoulder blades, get nice and comfortable, and see how my head is able to really just come back and really help me open up through the chest. Extended child's pose, in extended supported fish pose, I like to have my arms out nice and long to really help open up through the chest. So once you're in this position, in this pose, and nice and comfortable, if you're feeling any discomfort from that bolster, that blanket, feel free to just remove it and use regular fish pose. So now we're going to start bringing our attention to our breathing. Just start noticing where your breath is at in this moment without trying to really change anything or judge it. Try and focus on relaxing the tension in your jaw. Relaxing the shoulders, opening up through the chest, opening up through the neck. Now we're going to change our breathing, and we're going to take that nice, long, slow, deep breath coming in just through the nose. And really feel that long, slow, deep breath coming in. Bring it all the way down through your lungs, through heart center. Fill through the diaphragm and really blow that belly up nice and big. And then release. Let's release out through the mouth. Let's do that 2 more times. Nice, loud, cathartic. Empty all that breath out. Excellent. Now let's just change our breathing to focus on going in and out of the nose only. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths in and out the nose. And just a nice, comfortable mouth. We don't want to clench our teeth or just bringing our lips together softly. Couple more breaths here. As we practice today and try to release our stress and anxiety, we're really going to want to be mindful of our breathing. Long, slow, deep, cleansing breaths. Now let's try and engage Ujjayi breath. Yogic breathing. And what that means is we just put a slight restriction in the back of our throat as we inhale and exhale through the nose. What that does is it makes the breath a little audible. And as you engage that Ujjayi breath, let's try and bring that focus to holding on to that practice throughout our movement today. And if you find yourself wandering, it's okay. Just gently bringing your focus back to the breath. Feeling your body open, your muscles start to relax and melt. Now we'll take a gentle roll to one side. If we're using that blanket, just move it off to the side for now and meet me on your back. We're going to bring both of our knees up to our chest. Grab onto them with our hands. Kind of just slowly rock the back out a little bit. Nice. All right, bringing our palms down by our sides on either side of us on the mat. We're going to bring our knees up to a 90 degree angle. We're going to take our left leg and bring it out long, hovering just above the mat, engaging our toes to the ceiling. Take your fingers and lace them around your right knee. We're going to start stretching our hips and opening up a little bit through our hips. So we're going to stretch this knee. Take our right knee and just bring it in towards the chest. Engaging our toes, pointing to the ceiling. Continuing to breathe. Long, slow, deep breaths. All right, release that knee just slightly, keeping our hands around it. This time we're going to bring it out to the right more. We're going to open up our hip a little differently. And let's draw that knee up into like our armpit area. If you need to, grab around it with your arm and just feel that stretch, opening that hips. Hips are one area where we tend to hold a lot of our stress and tension. So we're going to start warming up that area, allowing that tension to release. You can take that left leg and drop it down to the mat now and release our leg back to a 90 degree angle. We're going to take our arms out long and we're going to drop our right knee over to our right side for a nice twist. Coming up on the hip, twisting over to the right and bringing that knee down to the floor. We have a blanket if you did the supported fish pose. And if it's helpful for you, go ahead and slide that blanket right underneath this knee and keep that supported a little bit off there if you're getting too much of a stretch. But we do want to have a nice stretch here. And then you can deepen this even further by taking your gaze over your right fingers. Continuing our long, slow, deep breaths. One more breath here. And we'll rise right back up to 90-degree angle. And let's draw that left knee up to meet the right. And switch sides. Here we go. Leg, arms out long on the mat for now. We're going to take that right leg hot along and pointing our toes to the mat, to the ceiling. We're wrapping our fingers around the left knee. Let's just gently bring that left knee in for a nice stretch. Long, slow, deep breaths. Slightly release that knee, bring it further out to the left and bring that up into your armpit. If you need to drop your leg down to the mat, that's perfectly fine. Let's keep our toes engaged, keep our muscles nice and stretching. One more breath here. Drop that right leg to the mat, bringing that right knee up to a 90-degree angle. Arms out to a capital T. Let's drop the right knee over to the left knee over to the right side this time. Up on the hip and taking the gaze over to the left. One more breath. Bring your knee right back up. Let's bring the right knee to meet the left and wrap our arms around there one more time. Roll that back out. Nice little massage for the lower back. Okay, dropping the head back to the mat, dropping the palms flat to the sides of the mat. We're going to do bridge pose. So dropping the feet down to the mat. I'm going to bring our knees up. We want our knees stacked over our ankles in a nice 90-degree angles. Feet hip distance apart. We're going to engage through our palms and engage through all four sides of both feet, lifting up on the hips. Further opening the hips. We want to be sure we're pressing into our shoulders onto the mat, protecting our neck. Engaging the core, engaging the glutes. And breathing. And we'll release and bring it one more time up. Continuing to breathe in and out the nose. Down to the belly. And release down to the mat. We're going to come up to a seated position. Bring your legs up, cross your ankles. Meet me in crisscross applesauce at the front of your mat. sit up nice and tall, roll the shoulders back. We're gonna start warming up our neck and shoulders. Nice, tall, straight spine, reaching the crown of the head up to the ceiling, up to the sky. And we're gonna take our gaze to the right and back to center and to the left. And back to center, to the right one more time. Back to center. Let's take our right ear to our right shoulder. And back to center. And left ear, left shoulder. I'm going to further the stretch. We can take our arms out to the sides and just gently tenting our fingers, placing our fingertips lightly on the mat. Take our right ear to the right side, deepening that stretch with those outstretched fingers. And to the left. Now let's do a few neck rolls. Right side, forward, maybe just go halfway and back for the first few times. Slowly bringing our neck nice and slow. And reverse direction. Very nice. Okay, now we're going to start stretching out and warming up our spine. So if you'll meet me in tabletop position, how you need to do tabletop is we want to be sure that we're spreading our fingers nice and wide. We have our shoulders stacked directly over our wrists. Our arms are shoulder width apart. Our knees are stacked directly beneath our hips. And the tops of our feet are flat on the mat. Nice, strong, straight spine. We're going to start warming up our back with some cat-cow movements. We're going to start with the tailbone, dropping the belly, reaching up through the chin, stretching that spine down. Taking our gaze softly forward. And then we'll go into cat, starting with the tailbone, rounding up through the spine, really reaching through, allowing your head just to drop naturally. And cow. Remembering to inhale and exhale. Do a few more rounds of cat-cow at your own breath. Excellent. Now we're going to bring our big toes to touch and bring our knees out nice and wide. And slowly setting back, bringing our rear to our feet. And we're going to go into extended child's pose. So I like to have my knees out nice and wide. And so be sure to have your knees nice and comfortable for you. And we're going to slowly start walking our hands forward. Goal is to drop that belly down to the mat. Drop that chest down to the mat. Bringing our arms out long, walking out. And slowly just melting into the mat, bringing your forehead right to the mat. And just allowing yourself to relax here, let go. more breath here. It's like walking your hands back under your shoulders, slowly pressing up. Nice and slow. Okay, so now we're going to do thread the needle. So what I'd like you to do is come back up to tabletop position. We're going to keep our hips high. We're going to start by bringing the left arm up. We're going to thread the needle by bringing that arm underneath our left shoulder, bringing our right shoulder all the way down to the mat and placing our right cheek on the mat. Keeping the hips nice and high, we're going to take that left hand and walk it out. Really getting a stretch through that shoulder area. Take a few minutes here to just relax and melt into the pose and continuing to breathe. When you're ready, bring your left hand back towards your face, pressing into the mat, lifting up, coming back into tabletop. Now we'll do the other side, lifting the left arm high, bringing it underneath the right arm, bringing that left shoulder all the way to the mat, left cheek to the mat, keeping the hips high, walking that right arm out, nice and straight. Nice stretch through the shoulder. Take one more breath here. Remembering to continue our breathing, long, slow, deep breaths. Walk that right hand pressing into the mat and bringing us right back down. Okay, so now from a tabletop position, we're going to take our hands, go forward a little bit, spread those fingers really nice and wide. We're going to take all 10 toes and tuck them underneath. Here we go. We're going to go up into our first downward facing dog. Really take a little moment in our first downward dog to kind of really feel through the stretch here. Feeling that in your body, pressing the heels back as far as you can. Allowing your neck to just hang nice and naturally. Pressing through all 10 fingertips. Feeling all 10 toes on the mat. Take a few breaths here. Maybe alternate bending your knees and starting to walk the dog a little bit. Nice stretch. No hurry here. We're going to do a few just flows here to warm things up and open things up. So placing your weight of your body into your left foot. We're going to take our right foot and bring it up high behind us and take our gaze between our fingers, between our hands in front of us. We're going to bend that right knee, and however we need to, we're going to step it right near our right thumb, kind of behind our right thumb. press up and start bringing our body up, but we can bring that, if you need to, you can bring your left knee to the mat, and let's press all the way up into crescent. And we'll bring our hands down to heart center, and let's do a nice twist over to our right side. See if we can't get that left elbow, the outside of the right knee, keeping the chest elevated. And take a breath here. We can bring back up to center. Let's bring our hands back to the mat on either side and tucking our toes. Let's step back to plank pose. And we'll slowly roll down to the mat. Come down to your belly. Placing the tops of the feet flat on the mat, bringing our hands, tops of our hands to the mat. Let's go into lotus. Reaching up with hands, reaching up with feet. Continuing to breathe. And dropping back down to the mat. Let's press our hands next to our chest, tucking all 10 toes. Let's get back up into downward facing dog. Nice stretching here. This time, let's take that left leg high. So putting your weight into your right foot. Let's take our left leg high, taking our gaze between our hands. Let's place that left foot behind our left thumb. Dropping that right knee down to the mat. Let's come up. Press it. And let's do that twist on the other side, bringing our hands down to heart center, bringing that right elbow to the outside of the left knee. Dropping our hands back down to the mat. Let's coming back to plank and lowering back down to the mat. This time we're going to do Sphinx pose. So let's take our feet to the mat. This time we're going to lay our forearms on the mat and lifting the chest up. Take a few breaths here. Good job. And releasing down, placing our hands on the mat, tucking all 10 toes. Let's go back into downward facing dog. I'm going to do another flow. We're going to take that right leg high once again. We're going to bring it between our hands. This time we're going to take that back foot and we're going to put it at a 45-degree angle and keep a nice 90-degree angle on our front foot. We're going to rise up, straight up, bringing our arms up. We've got a nice bend in our front leg. Our back leg is straight, hips are facing forward. This is a warrior one. Now from warrior one, we're going to drop our arms down behind us, interlace our fingers, and we're going to start to open our chest, pulling back on those arms, continuing a nice strong warrior one, just a micro bend in your back knee of that back left leg. And we're going to slowly hinge forward at the hips, bringing our arms up, bringing our head down with the goal of putting our head onto the inside of the right knee. Laying your stomach on that thigh, Laying your chest on the thigh if you need to. Humble warrior. Now you can release your hands, place them on either side of your foot, turning your back foot, stepping back to plank, and lowering back down to the mat. Now let's put our hands back one more time, get back up into downward facing dog. This time we're going to bring that left leg high. Stepping it between our hands. 45-degree angle with the back foot. Rising up, warrior one. Let's keep our shoulders nice down away from our ears. Keeping that gaze nice and soft. Bringing our hands back behind us, interlacing our fingers. And let's slowly hinge forward for humble warrior. Bringing our head into the inside of the left knee this time. Take a few breaths here. And releasing the hands, placing them on either side of the foot. Stepping back to plank. Let's lower all the way back down to the mat. And pressing up, cobra. Take a breath here, feeling that stretch on the lower back. Placing our hands on the mat, tucking all 10 toes. Let's go back up into downward facing dog. Placing all the weight in the left foot. Let's take that right leg high one more time. Bringing that foot behind the right thumb. This time we're going to take our back foot to a 90-degree angle, rising up. Keeping our back foot at a 90-degree angle. Our right foot is facing forward. This time our hips are going to face the side of the mat. We're going into warrior two. We're going to sink down into that front knee, keeping that at a 90-degree angle. We don't want to go over our toes. Nice strong stance, nice strong straight back leg. We're going to bring our arms out evenly and take our gaze over our front fingers, sinking down into that pose. This is warrior two. From warrior two, we're going to go to reverse warrior. We're going to flip that front palm up. We're going to slowly bring our arms up, taking that left hand down that left thigh. Reaching up, taking our gaze to our hands, to our right hand, and maybe even leaning and stretching further. And windmilling our hands down to either side of our foot. Let's step back, high plank, and lower down to the mat. If you need to drop your knees, that's fine. And back up into downward facing dog. And this time we'll do that on the other side, lifting the left leg high. Gazing between your hands, stepping that left foot behind the left thumb. 90-degree angle with our back foot, rising up. Warrior two. Nice strong warrior two. Reverse warrior. Continuing to breathe long, slow, deep breaths. And coming down, windmilling our hands back to either side of the mat. Stepping back to plank and lowering down to the mat. facing dog. Just do one final downward facing dog here. Nice, stretching out those legs, taking a few deep breaths. And we're just gonna step, walk, or float to the front of the mat. And from here, we're gonna come all the way up, tall mountain. Coming down into a forward fold. Let's just take a moment here in this forward fold. Maybe grab onto our opposite elbows. And just allow that spine to create a little space. Maybe alternating, bending your knees just slightly. Like letting the head hang naturally, continuing to breathe. Let's go into monkey or a halfway lift. You can place your hands on your shins if you need to. Nice long back. And one more time down into a forward fold. Slowly and carefully, let's rise all the way back up. Tall mountain. Now we're going to come all the way down on the mat. And our final poses will all be down on the mat. We're going to start on our belly here. I'm going to do a little more shoulder stretch. So this is an interesting pose to do to open the shoulders up. So what we're going to do is we're going to lay on our stomach, taking our arms out long. I'm going to start by rolling to my left side so you can see what I'm doing. I'm keeping my arms out nice and long. I'm going to roll up onto my left side, keeping my left arm out nice and long. I'm going to lower my left cheek to the mat. I'm going to take my right arm and place it right in front of my chest, palm down for stability. I'm going to take my right foot high, bend the knee, and place it just next to my left thigh, the inside of my left thigh. I'm just opening up through the shoulder, taking a few breaths here. Don't want there to be any pain in this position. You can adjust that arm on the floor if you need to. Just take a few breaths here. Very good. Now release that right leg. Roll back onto your tummy. Arms out long. This time we're going to slowly roll over onto the right side. Right cheek on the mat. Left hand for stability. Bringing that left leg up. Bending the knee and placing it on the mat inside of the right thigh. One more breath here. Release that left leg, roll back onto the belly. We're going to come all the way up on our knees. And we're going to do camel pose, further opening up through the chest. So camel pose can be done in a couple different ways. The first way is if you're sitting and this works for you, you can slowly rise up on your knees, grabbing onto the heels and reaching back through the chest. Otherwise, another way to do it is to start Standing tall on your knees, bringing our shoulders back down away from our ears, placing our hands on our lower back, bringing our elbows towards each other in the back, and slowly leaning back and opening up through the chest. And to further that stretch even further, you can reach down and grab onto the heels. Very good. That's camel pose. Now we're going to lower down onto our heels into hero pose, which is a very simple pose. Let's roll our shoulders back, sitting up nice and tall, straight spine, reaching the crown to the ceiling, gently placing our palms on our knees. And just breathe here. In and out through the nose. Here, let's go to embryo pose, reaching our arms up to the ceiling and slowly hinging forward at the waist. We're going to bring the backs of our hands down to the mat behind us and bring the top of the head all the way down, resting on the mat if we can. Slowly rising back up. We're going to come onto bringing our feet out in front of us. Let's bring the soles of our feet to touch and go into butterfly pose. Just bringing our feet as close to our body as we can. Wrapping our fingers around those toes. And slowly hinging forward at the hip. Keeping that back nice and straight, pressing the elbows into the knees if we can to deepen that stretch just a little more. Continuing to breathe. Slowly releasing back up. Let's come back down on the mat on our back. And one more time, let's grab onto our knees. Give a nice squeeze. And then we'll do happy baby. So bringing the feet up and keeping the knees kind of bent. We're going to open our legs. And the goal here is to really open up through the hips here. Opening the legs and bringing the knees down to the sides. Now you can hold on to your ankles. You can hold on to the outsides of your feet and really pull them in. You can switch that to the insides of your feet, or another way to do it is to take your peace fingers and wrap them around the big toes and just really bring it in. Maybe slowly rock a little bit side to side, remembering slow deep breaths. releasing your legs down long on the mat. This brings us to our final resting pose, Savasana. If you have that blanket and want to take it and cover up, it's always nice to do. If you have a pillow or something you want to put under your head and support your neck, that's great too. Otherwise, just take a long, slow, deep breath. In through the belly and out the mouth. Let's let our feet fall open nice and naturally. Legs a nice distance from our body. Roll the shoulders back down your back, away from the ears. Bringing your arms to your sides, a comfortable distance away from our body. Palms up for energy, palm down for grounding. Let's take a few minutes here to just really unwind and relax. Let's begin by imagining there's a glowing golden ball of warm energy hovering just above our toes. This golden, glowing, warm energy has the power to relax our muscles. Ball slowly begins moving to the lower half of our legs, our knees, upper half of our legs, moving up into the belly and the lower back, to the upper back and chest, down the shoulders, elbows, wrists and fingertips, climbing up through the neck, covering the head and relaxing the face. In complete relaxation, let's take a few moments. Just further letting go. Allow your breathing to return to its natural rhythm, letting go of the Ujjayi breath. I highly encourage you to continue your Savasana for as long as possible. Maybe even pause this video and begin again when you're ready. So if you're ready, begin to wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. Gently bringing your awareness back into your body, back into the present moment. Keeping your eyes closed and moving nice, slowly and gently. Let's roll over to our side and use our arm as a pillow. Taking the time for self-care during strenuous times or at all times during our lives is not an easy thing to do. but it is extremely important. And I want you to take a moment here and appreciate that you've given yourself this time. I appreciate you for being here with me, and I appreciate your continued kindness, compassion for yourself and for others as we navigate uncertain times. So gently pressing your hands into the floor. Let's slowly and carefully, making no sudden moves. Back up. Sitting nice and tall in easy pose. Nice tall straight spine, rolling those shoulders back down away from the ears. I hope you'll join me in a short meditation. This is a mantra and a mudra. The mantra is peace begins with me. And our mudra is touching our thumb to each finger as we say our mantra. Peace begins with me. Say it 2 times loud, 2 times in a whisper, and 2 times in our mind. Peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. May you have peace in your thoughts, peace in your words, and peace in your heart. From my heart to yours.